Hello, City fans. Welcome back to Top Corner Talk again with your good friend Mo Football. And today we have Jeremy is back again with another episode, and we're still waiting for Oscar. So, Jeremy, before we go into any details, how was the game yesterday? The atmosphere, at City Park, Energizer Park, and anything else? How was it?
So sorry, Mo,
Uh
I've
oh.
got a little bit of an echo going.
Okay.
No, it was electric as always. I think there was uh, some anticipation, some nerves going into it. I think a lot of people had some high nerves. If you think about it. Columbus, top team in the East, coming into the matchup, and City having not scored for over 4 minutes in open play at that point, 345, 350 in general and total. So a lot of nerves, but I think a lot of positive vibes, and the crowd was amped when the game started.
Yes, and certainly we were all had a little bit of question marks about who was coming in, and also we also had a homecoming of Easy Jackson that also came and started and played. Um, was a little interesting to see that he was out after 45 minutes. I'm sure it's probably that one open shot that he missed. Maybe that was the maybe it's time for you to be sidelined, and we have our good friend Oscar that just joining us with a Leverkusen kit.
Yes, sir.
All right, so was that the one worn when they first came to what was City Park?
No, in this one actually, I got it on soccer tournament. We play in a Bayern tournament with
Nice.
St. Louis Santos, and they were giving us a shirt for every player, so it's pretty
Nice.
nice.
So it pretty much shows us how deep the connection with Leverkusen is. Even when we're not playing their team, you still get kits, and it looks
Yeah, I
like
mean
really
it's a very nice one. I mean a little um, it was surprisingly good quality, and we were very thankful we got it when we were playing and all that. And I mean, the reason I put it on is because we're a Team Germany right now, so we're with all the rumors and all this stuff. So just adding up to
wow,
it, you know.
Hey,
wow. He
hey,
just came straight up.
hey, one of our U16 teams beat Bayern today too in the shootout. So all kinds of German links going on right now, apparently.
Yes. So I don't know. I'm like the only one not wearing a kit, so I don't know. It kind of feel a little bit out of place. And then after that, Jeremy had to wear. I'm not trying to be a little biased, but probably the best kit made last year. You know, no,
Hey, it's a classy
okay,
looking shirt. I can't hate. But it's a classy looking shirt, and coming on the program as many times as I have, it only felt right. Got to dress the part, right?
yes, and also, I guess just to bring that back, it was a good thing for the Judge Yard Foundation as well. So all the proceed went to building his school. So it was nothing but good deeds. And also, I think as we get towards the game, the first thing that we saw before the celebration was Josh, getting that head injury, which was I can it's kind of scary when it's a non-contact injury,
Yeah.
especially when it's the ball. So, message him last night. It looks like he was good in good spirits. So I guess that takes the scary part out of um, you know non-contact injuries where the whole world is watching.
So they said on the broadcast he had
Yeah.
a history of
Yeah, I mean that was
concussions.
very
So
weird to have it.
yeah, it was strange.
I got Oscar. Oh, it looks like
Yeah, they're more sensitive once you get the first one. I mean, you're very sensitive to get more and more, but just having that play that it was just the ball that hit you, it was a little concerning. It just probably hit him in the wrong spot, uh, with the right force, and it kind of like knocked him down. But he seemed like he was very conscious. He seemed like he was very connected with the environment and everything. So when they took him out, like I was like that same player was like he doesn't understand what's happening. Like it's just like I'm fine, I feel fine, everything was evaluated correctly, and then you're taking him out. So it was very curious. But I mean, if it was for the best for him, then uh, you're not gonna complain about that in the long run. So
Yes. Jeremy, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, it was very it was interesting. So I was over in 120 around the no goal patrol folks, and we were confused. We didn't know why the play had stopped because it was just right in the run of play. It wasn't like a stoppage. The ball hadn't gone out or anything. It was a strange thing. And if you go back and watch the broadcast, he was not happy to come off that field at all. He was like, "Look, I'm fine. What are we doing?" And the other thing too that was interesting later in the game, one of the Columbus players, I think he was like one of their youth guys, 18, 19, 20 years old.
Yep.
He came on, got an injury or what they thought might be a head injury, and he was taken right off. There was no second to think about it. So it was
second
really
thought.
weird to see
Yep.
those two things back and forth.
Yeah, and I think his was almost well because I was at home, so I saw it. It was like a hard shoulder to shoulder, but the way he fell and he's a young kid too, so I think it was more of a hey, you got a hard knock, we're winning, better be safe than sorry. And we did see online where I think the only thing that I had the question mark about was that if you do the assessment, if you say that he's fine, then you probably give him a few minutes, kind of see if he's not fine. But if you still had maybe an ounce of concerns, that's when you say, no, you have to sub him out right away. Just don't give. He's an athlete, he's competitor. He's not going to say, I want out unless he's out on the ground. So
Right.
I don't mind taking that away from the player just for their safety.
Yeah, I mean, I rewatched the game, and the thing that they were saying in the broadcast obviously was that it was weird that they let him in if there was any ounce of concern that he wasn't good. So like that was like the moment I was like, why you let him in back if you had a doubt? That shouldn't be a no, don't go in, we get a sub. And that's what the part of confuses Jaro the most is because hey, you let me in, I passed all the protocol. And then 5 minutes later, you're telling me, no, we're gonna take you out. So that's more like the upsetting part from him. I see it, but at the end, like we said, it's for the good of his health and make sure like nothing escalates in that end because those are things are serious. So
yes. All right, so I wanted to take the somber part of things out of the way first. So the second part was that St. Louis lost to Columbus 2-1. Our good friend, look at that, we have hi, and I think
I'm going to bed.
City just got their next striker right there. He looks that he's ready.
We need it. Well, what do we need more, a striker or a midfielder? Anyway,
we need a right wing.
Right,
we need a right wing. We need a right wing that is not German. It doesn't play in the Bundesliga too. It doesn't play in the Bundesliga.
Do we jump straight to hot take? Because I was going to first celebrate.
And this section is sponsored by.
Oh boy, this is getting good. So should we talk about first?
We can get into it.
Finally, the drought is over for a Brazilian / German player. Klauss finally has his first goal. And of all the players that I can actually assisted him was Celio, his countryman. So how do you guys feel first on that goal? And we were criticizing the team for not being forward enough, not being creative enough. But we had for a small period of that time, that moment where you're, standing up and waiting for something to happen. How was that for you guys on that one play, Celio and Klauss?
I mean, it was very surprising to see the team come out the way that they came out. Definitely is the first time we see him this year to doing something as intensive, especially on the get go. But I mean, I don't let myself fool too much into it. I mean, the goal comes from a interception, a quick 2 passes, and then a solo play from Celio. Like it wasn't that we created 10 passes and we created the space for that run to be made or anything like that. It was just Celio took the ball from on the side and drive with it for like 20, 25 yards to a couple one-on-one situations with the same defender, make him look like a fool, one of the best defenders in the MLS. And
Not
then,
one of the best.
well,
He
the
He was
was
the
the
best
reigning.
defender
last
of the
year.
year last year.
Yeah. I mean, but that's last year. Like you can say, like, okay, in the following year, it's not.
Hey, he's the
But yeah,
defending champ.
correct. And I mean, he definitely make him look like a fool a couple times in the same play. So, was very encouraging to see him coming out like that. But I think we deflated really quick, so that's the concerning part. But I mean, very happy that Klauss scored. He deserves it. He has been close to score a couple times in different games, and he has been working hard. I mean, people don't give him the benefit of what he does off the ball and things like that. But he has been trying. He has hit the post. Obviously, before scoring, he hit the post again with a very tricky shot. That I mean, it's not easy to take that much power into that cross and put it like that. So it was a bullet that just hit the crossbar and then thankfully came back to him. So what you got, Jeremy?
No, so I mean, I'm 100% with you. That energy, that intense press to start, that's probably one of the most notable things to me in the entire game. I mean, seeing Baumgartel bombing up the field towards the north end to start. I mean, thinking about, my God, he's a center back and he's near the 18 at that point. That was insane. And that energy to start, I think it was nice to see, especially on our home pitch. I mean, you've got to have that at home. If you're going to have it anywhere, you got to have it at home. Yeah, the Celio 1v1 play to really set that scoring opportunity up. Klauss said after the game, Celio is the only guy on the roster that can do that. There's a whole other conversation to be had about about our roster composition that we can get into later. But it was nice to see the drought end, the celebration. But 100% with you on that, Oscar. I said it last night. As soon as we scored, and there were a couple other chances right after, Toy Shirt missing, and then Klauss missed again in the 17th minute. But it's like we just stopped, and I don't know why. We just went into a shell and said, let's sit back and go into a mid or low block. And I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why we did it. And, we can get into where we went from there, but makes no sense tactically to me.
Yeah. So I mean, I get the intensity has to get lower. Obviously, you started the first 10, 15 minutes on a high intense. It's hard to keep up that with the 90 minutes, and I don't think we're prepared for that this year. I think with Cornell, the intensity kind of lasts around 50 to 60 minutes, and then we start seeing the struggles of like conceding goals late and things like that. But this year, I think the mentality has not been thought to say we're gonna run, and hustle. We're gonna be more like a sit back, because there was one curious play. I rewatched the game today on my lunch break, and I saw one play that Toicher had to be able to have a high press, to initiate the high press, and it kind of like it clicked on him a little bit, like last year's mentality. And I saw him like just bullet, and then halfway like he stopped. He was like, "Oh, I'm not supposed to be doing this," and he leaned back. So I think it's just all the mentality from the coaches and the style of playing that is not obviously playing for the benefit of the team, because I mean it was working. Why you cannot continue pressing them the way that we were doing? So
Yeah.
Do you guys go ahead, Mo?
Oh, no, go ahead. Finish what you
No,
were
so one question for you guys. I mean, do you think it's that we just can't handle a press? I mean, San Diego was a challenge for us, and once we let Columbus get into their setup and really press us, I mean, is that a problem, you think, for this club at this point?
Good question. I'm not sure if the press is what we have an issue with. I think for me, the biggest concern I have, especially, is when if we just let those other teams, press us for X amount of time, you are bound to allow a goal to go in, right?
Mhm.
But I think what we're kind of missing is that one, like almost like that one nutcase in the midfield that will run at it from one box to the other. Um, in what first season we had him. Second season it was like, our the Bloom and Vasilev and Kojima, those were the guys that were the workhorses of the midfield, and kind of let Tuchel and Loven be the creative type of players. But now we have Tuchel and Loven, when playing, dropping so back to try to play defense, and then after that try to create at the same time, and that's where we get caught too easily.
Yeah, I think the other part of that pressure is that the pressure is coming to, like, we're still in a low block, so we gave Columbus three quarters of the field to play, to move the ball around, and then when we decided to cut those passes, obviously, like, it just, I insist, it's just way too big of a field to start sprinting and getting to the other side of the field and creating some chances. I think, like, one of the problems of the Deutscher one was because it was a very long run.
Mhm.
When he
Yeah.
gets in a good position and in the box, he was already gassed, and he just skies it. Like, he tried to be secure that he was gonna put it on frame, but with all that time and effort that he just put into it, he skied it just because of it. So
Yeah, and that's
it's
probably
it's
why he was
it's
on the
part of
ground
what you're
longer.
missing.
And I think that's probably why he was on the ground on the ground a little longer, because he was one upset, but also I think
Yeah.
he was catching his breath. So I
He
guess I
had
have
a
one.
sarcastic. It was so funny because I had like a perfect view on him, and he had a
Uh oh,
sarcastic smile. Like, he was like this, like, and he looked up like, I can't
did I
believe
just
this.
miss
I
that?
missed this. Like, how I missed this. How I missed, like, he's just going over his head like four different times. And it's like, oh man, like, this shouldn't be happening. But it it plays against. Obviously, they're professional. They're supposed to be ready to situations like that. But we're not putting them in the proper situation. We're not in the most convenient situation. It's more of like, you hassle a lot, and then is your gift or your reward is to having a chance, instead of like, here, let's work together, get it closed, and then your reward is you're gonna score.
So
Yes. So I have
go ahead,
one
Mel.
question for you guys, because I think I asked it, I think, the last few times, but would you guys think that if um wow, Berkey was playing, you know how we always had the joke that Berkey is like goes so far up that he's now becoming almost a fourth or third center back.
Mhm.
Do you think that maybe having him, because Ben does not do that, right? He stays a lot closer to his goal. So that means when we have the build up, we have to go a lot further back to and move up to the midfield. But when you see Berkey playing, right, there's that time he's almost in the midfield, right? So they're able to kind of bring the ball back to him and then play it more out wide. So they're still staying on the other half of the opponent. Do you see maybe there's maybe that correlation here where maybe it's one missing Berkey with his high press where he stays so much out of his box, and maybe a lack of confidence that maybe Ben and the center backs will not be able to come back if we were being hit with a counter? Because I think that's the biggest difference I see is that
Yeah.
the high press, we're starting the high press a lot further back in our goal, and then having to do the full length of the field, versus when Berkey was, you see him like he's where Parker was.
Mhm.
So it does help, obviously, but it doesn't begin there. So I don't think the process of the high press begins with Berkey. It's a complement of the high press. So when we lose the ball and we go on a high press in their last third, obviously all the full block should be moving and stay compact. That's what the Jurgen press, or however is pronounced, the German um, type of press. is built on is you lose the ball and when you're attacking and you instantly you go and get it with a compact block, and that involves your goalkeeper. Now, if you win the ball back and you don't fully attack in a quick pace, like a quick transition, and you decide to keep the ball, that's where Berkey enters into that higher block because you can afford to have your center backs move a little bit wider, have your wings or your left back, right back on the sides like wider, higher because he can distribute those balls. He can be that third center back or fourth center back that can distribute and play that in. And but if Berkey like if we lose the ball, like Berkey's not gonna be like, oh, we're pushing the line. No, like Berkey's retracting every time
Oh
like
yes, you see
we
him
lose the
run
ball,
backward. Yes.
obviously. So it doesn't begin with him and he will not contribute with the high press. He contributes with keeping the ball and keeping the block higher once we gain possession.
Yeah. And you can see those long balls that he definitely likes to do. And, and those that he side half volley with that he does all the time, where he kind of forces the high press. Um, so I think that's one of those things that I kind of miss. I see that's kind of missing in our current play is that one extra element that, you know, fortunately, maybe Ben is not as comfortable on his feet with the ball at his feet as Berkey is, and that's why they had to make changes. Um, Jeremy, what?
Yeah, no. So I think there's two things. So I think Berkey's distribution that you guys have both hit on is a big piece of it. But I think that for me, the bigger two issues I had yesterday were one, we can't relieve the pressure because we don't have an outlet for the ball to go. The plan was just hoof it long, and then what are we doing? We're not winning the second ball, and they're right back on it, and we're right back in our own half. That to me was the bigger thing. We don't have a way to relieve the pressure. And then it's where we're losing the ball because of it. Because we don't get to win that second ball, we don't get down into their third, and we're not losing it. I think it was Andrew Wiebe said on, it might have been Flyover Footy or something leading up to the game. The biggest difference with Columbus, they lose the ball where they want to lose it, like in their offense, in our third. So they lose it, they can press us deep because there's only so far back we can go towards our goal before we just say, screw it, and we hoof it down the field and give it right back to them and let them reset. So those are the bigger problems with me, which is not about Berkey or Lunt. It's more about our inability to have an outlet to break the pressure and effectively break the press consistently, which Olaf doesn't think is a big deal because I asked him about it after the game. Oh, no, that wasn't the problem. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's it's becoming ridiculous, but I mean we'll get into that topic later.
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah, the outlets it's a big deal when and it was working in the first 15, 20 minutes, even up to I guess like when Yotto got hurt and then got substituted by Watts because what I noticed and even like a lot of people praise the Wallem Celio combination. I don't think it works as good as people say. I like more the way that Wallen was playing on the right, for the simple reason that he was getting wide, knowing that someone will follow him, knowing that that will create space, will stretch the defenders with, and be able to create space for Celio.
Right.
Celio had a lot of space, but why is that space was created? It was because Wallen was in the opposite side. Because there's another concern on the right that that the team valued. Said Columbus said we cannot leave this guy behind because he's gonna do some danger. So everybody starts spreading out big. The shift then gets longer. Teams get higher on that transition. Celio gets space, can create stuff, right?
I think Jeremy, that's exactly why we're talking off record, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you instead of having everybody on one side and have trying to create on one side, if you have multiple players to worry about, that's why you're able to stretch all the teams. And I think maybe that was his train of thought, right? That even though Wallem and Celia worked the previous game together when they were on the same side. Now it's time to kind of stretch Columbus. But it worked for, I guess, maybe the first half.
Well, it worked for that moments that we were attacking, right? But then if you see it again at the end of the game, when the formation switch, when we were trying to get the tie goal, Wallen was sent to the right again.
Mhm.
And that's when Celio again started to participate.
Yep.
And Celio got a cross to Klauss, and Celio had a chance that he almost had double cut, tried to take a shot on goal, and another one he drift in and tried to create something else. So those are three plays in the last 10 minutes that he didn't have the extra player taking his space and attracting more defenders in that zone. Because I think that's what Wallen creates is he attracts people to him.
So it sounds like so we had left cover, we had right covered, but we were missing our in the middle, which I think Morales was mostly MIA during the game because I don't think even I was watching on the broadcast, didn't hear much of his name, and I didn't see, I guess, much of that play. So, what about you guys?
Go ahead.
Was it Morales, right?
Morales?
Yes. It was a very quiet game.
Well,
yeah.
So go ahead, Oscar.
I'm a defender of that position. I think like he just did fine. He was not exciting in any but whatsoever. But I know, like for example, our friend, our soccer zombie, was like in his video today, kind of like call me out, and it was all for good gigs and whatever. Like, but I defend Morales, and he was like, no, he trashed it today, and but I don't think he had a bad performance. If you evaluate like the way that he was releasing pressure, sending long balls, they were accurate. One thing that we have not done. So yes, there were moments when he looked slow. He looked like out of the pace of the game or a little like falling behind, tracking the runner. But I also think is because he didn't have the company that he had in the other games, because at least in the other games he had either a Ostrak or Darkin or even like Watts in the middle, that they're runners. They bust their engines and they run and cover space, while Morales just stays and sits in the six trying to cover those extra runs, right? So yes, he was not as important or like attractive for people, and I can see why those are like, oh, he had a bad game or this and that. But I think what he needed to be doing, he did it. He was, I believe, on the miss of AZ, that is a wide open AZ missed. He's the one who creates the pressure there when I mean, obviously everybody got caught up out of position, and he's the one that makes that slide tackle, trying to like obstruct the vision of the ball and all that. So it's small things that, I mean, you didn't touch the ball, you didn't make the tackle, but at the same time, like you at least you didn't let him just take a shot wide open with no obstructions. And then last for him, I would say the play from Betcher that he misses wide open. That's a ball from him. That's an amazing ball from him. Over the top of everybody with a curl, perfect, that ball spins back so it doesn't go away to the goalkeeper. And Betcher basically just whiffs at it.
He had. I'm sure he's having nightmares about that one. Oh, so yes,
he's probably have a double nightmare right now.
Yes,
he's having nightmares about more than one chance. I mean, he had the most expected goals in the game at 0.9. So at least for City, a couple things real quick. You were talking about the balance of play. So MLS stat, good friend Sebastian puts out some amazing infographics. You talk about attacking. We were 69% of our passes in the final third were on the left, 14% in the middle, 17% on the right. In terms of distribution into the box, 62% on the left. So we were still pretty imbalanced there in terms of an attack, and that's why I think to your point, Oscar, we need volume on the right to balance that out more and really get that attack a little bit more balanced. But as far as Morales goes, if I asked you who led the team in passes into the final third, the answer would be Alfredo Morales. So while he went unnoticed, and I think that's just he's in that case, it's a victim of being in the system, because how many times this year have we said, oh, Leuven went missing, Durkin's missing, except for when he goes marauding up the field for no reason. I just think that's the role of a center mid in this system.
Yeah.
I mean, Hartle, let's talk Hartle. Where was he last night? I mean, really, he was invisible too for a lot of it. Well, he was, but I mean, in terms of impacting the play,
you know where he was? He was in the corners throwing. And the
we'll stay away from that one.
But I think that's my point though. Like our center mids, no matter who it is in this system, they're not really visible and noticeable the way we would have noticed a Leuven in the past, and that's why and plus Morales wasn't bought to be our game in game out starter. He was supposed to be a depth guy. So can we just? I mean, I'm not going to jump on the hate train. I mean, he's doing for what he's doing. He's playing the part he's supposed to play, in my opinion. Is he going to be a world beater? No, but I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, he was a waste of a signing. I'm not there.
I mean, I don't think no one would. And when I was saying like MIA was that maybe that's the way his assignment was.
Yeah.
So it maybe says more about the formation and how we have our midfield. Because yes, we're supposed to have those quiet midfielders that do their job and keep their head down, but then that means we're missing the creative maestro-like midfielder that's supposed to go up and help our forwards, right? So that's why we had, the Durkins and Leuven, because, Durkin's going to do the dirty work and then Leuven's going to do the nice creative and get his name out. So I think that's where the midfield, I think that's where we were missing was that, yes, Wallen was on the right side and Celia was on the left, but all right, so we have those both covered. Who's going to provide them the ball? Is it just going to have to be the right back and the left back? And then the middle is like, and you saw the goal, right? Where Rossi from Columbus, it was in the midfield. So where was the midfielder that was coming back and helping defense? Because he should have met someone right in front of him before he got close to the box.
Oh, I think Hartle was the closest.
I can tell you the exact thing that happened there. It was, and I saw it when I was in the stands, and I saw the problem before they started, and I was like, "This is gonna be trouble." The first thing
that's bad when you can see it.
When they got the ball, so when the Columbus got the ball for that goal, I looked to the right of like our defensive side, right, and I see Torture on the right wing, like sitting back on the right wing, and Watts pressing higher, and I was like, "Why is that happening? Why is Torture behind Watts?" And Watts goes and press. Misses the press, then tries to come back, but he doesn't follow. He doesn't track the defender that he just missed. That's the one that goes by Morales with one touch, and then he drives with the ball. I don't remember his name, but he was the one that gave the assist to Rosie. And everything was because Watts went high press when he was not supposed to do, and let Torture behind in an open space when he had to cover like 3 different players.
So it's all total miscommunications, it sounds like.
A bad positioning. I mean, in my opinion, it was like, because what I believe he tried to win a ball in the middle, he didn't win it, and instead of going back to his position and releasing Torture, he decided to go and stay higher.
Okay, so that was mismatch.
Well,
yeah, so and then I guess I explained it. Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I'd say they left. I think it was Gazdag running at Kessler, and he just laid it off to who was it? Rossi, who was, and Baumgartel tried to close him down, didn't have an angle, and I don't know if you even is it harsh to say he didn't close him down because he cut the angle, but he didn't really challenge for the shot. And it was, a low XG shot from 18, 20 yards away, something like that. But I don't know. I would have liked to seen the defender step into the challenge there a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks like
Unless-
maybe
I
a
think
little
they
bit
were still
positioning.
trailing. I think they were still like retrieving, trying to think they're gonna keep passing, and they were trying to give enough time for the midfield to kind of get back in track. But because if you see Baumgartel is stopped right on the box, and that's kind of like a cue, like it's just like you retrieve, you touch a box, then you kind of like stop there and try to. And Rossi obviously took advantage, and knowing that normally that's what defenders do, they don't want to get back inside the box, so they're going to stop there. And he took the space until then, and saw his shot, he took it. And that's the difference of a player that costs, I don't know, 10, 12 million, 15 million, whatever Rossi costs, and he can change games, and we don't have.
Yeah, well, we also did let him, stroll 35 yards by himself. So
I mean, that was a good run from Chamboist.
Yeah, but
the French guy, your friend.
that happens. That's what French people do. But
yeah, they screw people over.
No, they just win. But that's a whole another discussion. We'll spare Jeremy out of
our misery.
But I think we missed the first goal from Columbus. I forget who scored it.
That was Moreno, the reigning defender of the year, on the back post on a cross.
Yeah, so I guess that was a payback for what Celio did to him.
Oh yes,
I guess
absolutely.
But that was also a few of our team players that were caught ball watching, right? Because
I mean, Celio has to cover that, but at the same time, like that's where you get. That's the risk you have with Celio. And that's the risk you have to take at this moment of time. You have to play Celio because he's creating a lot of opportunities on the front. He's been that rebellious player that is trying to do different. But, and we mentioned it since day one on this Top Corner show, that Celio would not bring the defensive side to the wingers.
Yeah, I don't think he should.
And there it is. So it happened. I mean, I'm not blaming Celio whatsoever. That's not his forte. That's not what he's paid to do. But with this system, there are sacrifices that sometimes need to be done, and he couldn't do it. It is what it is. And Moreira took advantage of it. He knew, and he likes to attack. Like he likes to get in the box and score goals too. So
that was a heck of a duel, right? It sounds like
And it was a tidy finish by him too. Credit. I mean, that's not an easy ball to touch necessarily. He took it right on one touch and put it right past Lunt. I mean, it's not. And people, whether you talk the first goal or the second goal, I don't think you can fault Lunt for either of them, really.
Nope. Maybe Rossi, maybe a little bit of placement out. I think because sometimes when you see a player coming like 35 yards, like I said, it may give you a little bit more time to set yourself up, but also you would expect someone from your team to kind of cover more. And maybe Baumgartel will also kind of hit where the ball was going first. So it was one of those delayed dive. But I think for me, Ben is doing what he's supposed to be doing in those, 4 games he's played in. It's just, I guess, the players in front of him that, lap of attention or have played him. But I think Ben has had some heck of a save himself.
So the way I see it, I mean, Lunt has done a great job, but at the same time, he's not a superstar goalkeeper.
Well,
so
he's not backup,
it is what it is. So because he has done really good saves that you're like, whoa, like I was not expecting Lunt to save that, or how like you're like, how did he just grab that one? Like the one that it had like a 1-2 combination on the ground, and he full stretch grabbed it on the ground, didn't give a rebound. Like that one was not easy. It was not with a big pace, but at the same time, good location on the ground, and he got there. But then it comes to the point like when we're used to see Berkey makes so many miracle saves, then we think, well, he could have done better on that one, or he could. Because I heard the comments even like in the broadcast when I was rewatching that, like the one against Kansas City, for example, the first goal, Lund's positioning was a little bit off. He was a little too close to covering his post, so he couldn't reach to the opposite side. So yes, those type of scenarios, like it was a really good shot from Jovic, and then but maybe Berkey would have saved because he's always good in good positioning and in jumping to those balls. And this one as well, like it the reactive time, I think Berkey is a lot better on reacting quick, and maybe he could have a hand on that one,
Yeah.
but maybe it was a good shot again. So
I'll try to be nice. I think especially when people started to compare, like if Berkey could have done that. I try to also tell people, even in those chat and all that, it's like, please let's not forget that Berkey is a Champions League goalkeeper. He's faced like he was in the top echelon of world football.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, even though he also played in high level, the academy in Germany, but he was still a USL player. So it's like we got maybe spoiled by having a Champions League goalkeeper with Dortmund as like top of his game, and then compare him to Ben is like take it easy a little bit, right? You've got a little bit spoiled a little bit too much because I think you probably have the most. As I know people in MLS might not like it, but probably best goalkeeper, not only in experience but also game wise and others. So Ben as a goalkeeper for the level that we expected him for the league and all that, he should be high up. Maybe they won't put him in the top 5, but he has done his job and has not allowed as many goals as was it? Isn't it Austin just gave 5 goals to Vancouver?
Yeah,
And they were the second best. And they were the best. Yes, but they were the second best defense in MLS. It still allowed 5.
until then, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think I try to take it easy on Ben. He has done his job. He has done some crazy saves.
Yeah.
It's just the matter of fact that not everything is clicking. And he's probably doing a lot more work than he expected compared to maybe sometimes Berkey didn't have as much to save, but made those saves that he needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. I think there was a comment earlier. Someone said about that Deutscher has mentioned before that they played to a 1-0 win and then they can sit back. So like that's what we're bringing into. I think it was Daniel that mentioned it.
But Austin done it well. For once.
Yeah, I mean, it could work. I mean, sometimes works, but most of the times if you sit back, you're going to concede a goal.
Yes.
Yeah, we welcome pressure, and we conceded. But we haven't gotten to probably the most contentious moment yet, fellas. That
we haven't.
The offside, non-offside debate on Klauss's potential equalizer. Thoughts on was he on, was he off? And I know there was a comment from Romo, I think, in the chat about technology.
Yeah, I was saving that, but
my
this
fault.
one, this one was going to be interesting. You know what, Oscar, I will let you take it first because I can.
So that was part of my hot takes.
All right, let's see.
And it becomes then how in the world MLS expects to be a top flight league, and if not involving all the technologies that there are to use, involving goal line technology, involving VAR with lines, and even like the assisted offside technology. If MLS wants to be recognized as one of the higher leagues, they have to start bringing those technologies in. Whatever was the result, I'm not mad because they disallowed the goal or not, because with the technologies available, with the call that was on the field, I completely agree that they couldn't reverse it.
Yeah, because it was the sideline person that
There,
called
Yeah.
it
there's
offside.
just nobody knows, and nobody
No.
will ever know if he was really on side because there's no proof, there's no
Mhm.
angle, there's nothing to say different. But the issue with that is if we had lines or the assisted semi-automatic offside technology,
Yep.
that would have changed because that would have find a different way to see that play
Mhm.
and even reverse it or confirm that it was an offside. So that's the main point on that perspective. Like MLS is lacking and is just basically, I think like Romo kind of like is saying like, well, Apple just like lucrating themselves on money and not putting uh the technologies available. I don't know if Apple has to be the one to put
Yeah.
them or it has to be the MLS to put it.
No,
um
and I think that's
Mhm.
and I, the way I see it as well is yes, MLS. Let's be frank. This is the United States of America, so all of the top technologies come from here. We and our stadium is a very high tech, full technology, stadium. So there's no excuse for it. And I think the problem is that it is still a closed league, right? And that there's not as much eyeballs to the league as the others will say per se, right? Because
Mhm.
the technology is there. Um, and I think one of the rules they say that if it was the actual referee in the center referee that would have called it, or if there was the VAR that says, "Hey, this is probably not offside, you should take a look at it," then he would have gone to VAR
Mhm.
and given assessment by himself.
yeah.
But since he was the sideline referee, that's where he kept it as. But for me, when the whole world, people on TV, broadcast, and all that see that it's possible, I think there should be someone in the league that's like, hey, maybe you guys missed it also. And at least at least have the center referee go and look at the VAR and make that decision himself because we've had VAR for a lot less decisions. And
Yeah.
this is a goal scoring opportunity that you're taking away.
Mhm.
If it was a foul, I would say, okay, we can think about it. But if it's a goal, the center referee should at least take a look at it because now everybody's talking about it and asking. But the
So
final decision has not been
I
made
don't
if it
agree.
was
I
missed.
don't agree with what you're saying. I know what like as a sentiment, yes, we all want it for
Oh
the
no, I'm
referee
saying in general, not because it was City. It's like, would you imagine if it was on the other side, right? When you're on the receiving end of, those type of offsides, even with the technology, is still a debate because some people say if your elbow was off of the line, it's still
Mhm.
offside, or if you have a pinky toe and it's still
Well,
offside. So,
but that's down to the letter
right,
of the law and how they're applying the law. I think that that's a separate conversation from the technology, and MLS choosing to not have it or not pony up to pay for it is absurd. Oscar, you hit it on the nail on the head. If you want to be a top flight league and you want to be considered in that in that pyramid up there with the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, get you the technology that's available to get the things that are going to determine the outcome of the games right.
I don't
There's
think
no
all the leagues
reason.
have all the technologies though. Still, some
Well,
have
they
here
don't,
and
but I
there.
mean, but I believe all the top European leagues they all have the lines.
Oh yeah, oh yes, that's and I think
I
it's
mean,
even
yeah,
Pro Ref that
the
has that
Colombian
line.
league has the lines.
and right. Well, and so
I
they
mean,
said sorry, there was a pool report request from the pool of reporters after the game to the refs to get an explanation for why they didn't send the ref to the monitor. And they said basically there were no definitive angles that proved he was onside. So because of the lack of angles available, they could not send him to the monitor to reverse it. It
That's
sucks because
embarrassing though.
it's that's the whole point though
Yeah,
is how is there not another angle,
yeah.
something better? I know they did show a broadcast angle behind the goal around the 70th minute, but you can't tell definitively there because the posts are in the way and it's still kind of slided off to the side a little bit. So i
I think it's
I don't
embarrassing.
know.
You can't. camera angles is not should never be the excuse of why you
Yeah.
couldn't review it, because you should have left,
Right.
right, front, and back. I mean, that's why you see those things that
The
goes up.
drone,
Yeah,
like the
Yeah.
you
the,
know,
the, the drone looking one that everybody's like, oh,
yeah, that
we
zip on that
it should be
line.
in every yeah, it should be in every
Yeah,
stadium. I agree.
yeah.
But Jeremy, in that point, obviously everybody will get upset with
Uh-oh.
the explanation of the referee, but I completely agree. So the thing is, the issue started with the linesman flagging it
Yep.
Mhm.
because I don't think he really saw that it was an offside. I think he thought he's like, oh, it's close. He might be close. But now the procedure for those plays is you let play, you let the goal
Mhm.
count, and then VAR can reverse. That's what the procedure is. And this guy was really quick on putting the flag up and disallowing the goal. So if he doesn't lift the flag, VAR goes to the monitors and they call the center referee and say like, "Hey, we're looking at it the same way that they did. It just and the same result is gonna say like, well, I don't see enough, and
Mhm.
there's no angles. There's nothing that it can prove me that it was offside. So the call on the field was always gonna be the one to stay on that situation for the lack of technology. So I'm not mad because VAR was not involved because it was.
Mhm.
Um, and for people, if anybody's watching and everybody still thinks that VAR didn't get involved, yes, they did get
Oh,
involved.
yes, he was
Um,
Mhm.
checking.
he was on
Yeah.
his headphone or whatever they call it, and he delayed the play. He delayed the restart. So yes, VAR got involved. It doesn't mean the center to VAR to be involved. It doesn't. It's not necessary for the center referee to go to the monitor.
Mhm.
No,
That's just the last resort. That's the last when they are not sure and they let the center referee to take a decision. But they always analyze those plays. So stop people saying that, oh, I can't believe VAR wasn't used. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It's just not enough evidence to reverse a call. That if it wasn't a goal and they had to reverse it, it would be a goal. 100%.
yeah, my tweet said it was the worst VAR review because I
Mhm.
knew they reviewed it, but it's
I
like,
think they did what they're supposed to do. I mean, with the technology that they have in hands, they did
Yeah.
what they were supposed to do. They evaluated, and I mean, I look at all the images, I look at everything that people have been posting. I was like, I'm still not sure.
sure, there it's
Well,
not even look. It's not VR is not at every stadium, right? Isn't it somewhere in Dallas or
No, they're in
something?
New York, I believe.
Yeah. So if you have that technology, right, and you
mhm.
change I think their set is a brand new set that they moved it because
Mhm.
they wanted to make it bigger and better.
Mhm.
You know what? Instead of spending all that money on those, Apple TV deals and make the studio all nice and glitzy, let's put some technology on the field. I mean,
Well,
you're
I
Apple.
mean, they cut the extra time podcast, so they've got to have some extra money lying around somewhere. But
I
no,
mean,
but no, seriously though, on that play, I don't know if it's. I think it was Morales and the defender were at the near post, and Klaus is on the far post, if I remember correctly.
okay.
And so you can't definitively tell where the defender's shoulder is. Maybe Morales's shoulder is a bit off, but Klaus could still be on. And you can't see from the angle, you can't see the defender's shoulder. You can try to guess where his shoulder is, or you
I
can
think
try
it
to
was his
draw.
foot, right? It wasn't it his
Well,
leg,
so
how he had it extended,
So
and
you can
Klaus
his
had
see
his
the
leg
foot.
yeah,
like
you could see
kind of,
his foot behind Morales or in
yeah,
between Morales's
kind of.
legs. So I mean, I tried. Oscar, you saw it on Blue Sky and told me not to fall into the trap. I fell in anyway,
I
but
just,
no.
I really dislike when people just start drawing the lines like that because it's just like you're trying, and I know you mean the best. It's just like
No,
let's
I
not get
know.
onto that game.
But yes,
That's no, I don't
we're
blame
we're
you.
missing that Champions League thing where they have the camera that actually
Yeah,
pivots and
the
shows you.
automated.
So yeah. So I guess lesson learned. My I guess to close out the whole discussion of VR. Now I'm just hoping that they bring this for the World Cup and then keep that technology for the MLS because they will be required to have all of that
Mhm.
technology for the World Cup. And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
FIFA World Cup and all that. I'm pretty sure they will be required to have that technology. So hopefully that will be then kept or studied with MLS Next Pro and then brought into MLS. But for the enjoyment of it, it certainly has to be implemented because you cannot affect the game with one decision. We The discussion after a game should not be what the referee bad call made or the call they didn't make or made. It should be, who scored the most goals.
Yep.
Right.
So yes. So I guess so with that, then after that we found ourselves towards, we'll say, the last 15 minutes also of the play where we're starting to see City bring back the first 15 minutes of the game and start
Mhm.
pressuring Columbus. So Jeremy, on your side, how did you
Mhm.
take that? The last 15 minutes, because I think that was the most exciting, was 15 and 15.
Yeah, I mean, from the 72nd minute on, City were really growing. We generated, a few really good chances. Betcher had a really good shot in the 72nd minute. That 88th minute chance, which I think was on the ball from Morales, that we were talking about earlier, he had 0.53 expected goals. You really got to put one of those away. The only question I have within that last 15 minutes for me that I was sort of wondering about was, why did we wait so long to bring on Ostrak and Joyner? Why was that not done a little sooner? That was the only real question I had. But other than that, I mean, I loved what I saw. It was entertaining, just frustrating that we couldn't get another goal.
Oscar.
Um, I mean, it was a good adjustment. I'll give credit to Olaf in that the last two substitutions as adjusting the system, but I do not give credit of the pieces he moved. I would not. I know Hertel was missing the entire game, but I would not take my most valuable player, the most skillful player, out of a game you have to tie.
Fair.
So if at that point like you're adjusting as much as you're adjusting, find a way that you keep Hartel in and take Watts out because Watts was the piece that it was extra, in my opinion. You were taking Heaver out and you were taking some risks, and that's why you adjusted on the back four. But I think I don't know. In a set piece, he could change the game. I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
Schulte
Mhm.
had a really nice hand on one of his free kicks
Ooh,
that was definitely going in when
that should
nobody
have
was
gone in.
expecting it. So what if that happens again, or another corner where the disallowed goal came from is because it was a corner and it was a well taken corner to Baumgartel that brings it down to Klaus. So yes, the risk was great. Bringing Joyner was amazing. Ostrak should be earlier. And I would have take, for example, Morales. I would have taken Morales out because in some point, like he was tired, and that was a good refreshment on that center mid and keep that pressure going higher, with more energy and everything. So I don't know, like the pieces were not the ones that I thought he would move. He's he I don't know, like he has some arrangement with Watts. I have no idea what it is because I mean,
Maybe
let's be honest, Watts has not had a really good season, and for the amount of minutes that he has been played, he has not been reliable in either the attack or in the defensive side. So, why do we keep playing him as much? It's a necessity, yes, but when sometimes you need other type of players, why you keep him on?
I I think probably on my part, what I'm starting to see is that maybe speed wise, maybe he has a little bit more of that speed that Olaf is keep on saying that needs. He still, I guess, need a few more pieces from his team that he would like, that he prefers. maybe those are the type of player that he kind of hope to have, maybe, and that's where Josh and Akil were able to get a lot more of the playing time. Wise, I, th- I
I
I
think
mean,
that's
mean,
where I'm starting because
yeah, I mean that's a
yeah,
valid point,
yeah,
and that's what he sees, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna value his speed, and that's why I'm gonna keep him in. Like,
yeah, because
yeah,
that's why he
like
was talking
we're
about
the
Celio too, right? When he was saying that Celio is the dribbling, his willingness to be 1-on-1, 1v1, and his speed. That's what kind of got him from playing 20 minutes
mhm.
here to starting, and then after that contributing at the same time. Should be a little bit more of that explosiveness.
I I think it's a combination of things. I think it's so yesterday I know there was one moment that sticks out in my head. I forget exactly when it was in the match. It might have been that first half header from Klauss that got saved or went wide. Watts played that ball in. It was right at, I think Watts played that cross in that hit. It was
yes,
perfectly weighted for
Klaus
Klauss,
made it
but he
wide.
missed it. Yeah, yeah. But I don't know if it's the idea of a nonstop player and that Watts will just run, and it's the engine piece, or if it's Olaf is really big about versatility and guys that can move around and play multiple positions. I almost wonder if that's what it is. We've seen it with Wallum. We've seen it with, I mean, some of his center backs. Hebert will move inside or out depending on what we need. Those are the only explanations I can think
But
to
he did
keep
mention
Watt.
that early in the presser in the season, that he was looking for players that could play two or three
Mm-hmm.
positions. Um,
Yep.
I'm wondering maybe those are the one he's players that kind of used to, and I think we're all seeing the rumors of a new German player coming in. But I
He
think,
finished.
It's finished,
but through the
Yeah,
German
plays it
league and all that
right,
alongside.
stuff,
Yeah.
yes.
right.
But I think I may save that to our good friend Oscar in his hot take. Is
So
that a
okay,
good transition?
so before we get into that, I wanted to touch. Obviously, we have mentioned a little bit about the substitutions and everything, but
Right.
um, you mentioned that he likes to move people around and play different positions. Um, but why? Why do you need players that they will go into three different places and then make mistakes in two of them? Because that's what we create him. Um, for me, Watts is good on a right, like a right fullback, or a six, like a center mid with company, not by himself. I think those are his biggest two strengths, and the biggest strength I think is on the right fullback. We keep putting him in everywhere. He gets out of position. He gets excited. He gets make mistakes. Same thing with Hebert. His strongest plays is as a center back. Especially he has found that place on the three center backs. Just not in a four, is on the three formation. He has found his place and he has performed very well. But we keep trying to put him on a left wing, on a right wing, on everywhere, and those are the times when he makes mistakes. So when we did the first substitution for Jaro, I look at the bench and we have a natural center back, right? That he
Yes, we
has
did.
not
Yep.
played. So instead of moving your formation and adopting so much of what you planned the entire week to put Watson, put another center back. Put Benzel. Put Benson on the center
Well,
back. You keep Heber on the left, how you plan it all week, and you keep Wallem on the right, how you plan it the entire week. It's not that hard.
he did the same thing with Baumgartel when Nilsson went down. Instead of bringing in Baumgartel, he switched the formation around again. That was, I think, last week when Nilsson got hurt.
Yeah, but against Kansas
But
City.
let me ask you a question, Oscar. So he's Olaf says he wants guys that can play two or three positions. is that what we do when we're on a shoestring budget because our front office isn't willing to pay for guys because
Oh
you're
boy.
you're you're having to come up with these guys, these guys that you can move around? Is that what this is? I'm gonna play devil's advocate, guys.
Uh-oh.
I've got to ask. Is that what this is?
Yes, 100%. We have players that they have to split themselves or clone themselves into different type of players and not have one specialized position, where our front office or Lutz or whoever is freaking in charge of our team is not deciding to put the effort, put the money to bring specialized players in a specialized positions. Yes, 100%.
All the above.
I mean,
I
we're,
think.
we're,
Yeah,
we're just
I
not
think.
bringing anybody that can cover what we need. So, like, for example, like right now, what's our biggest hole?
I mean, Totland being out on the right side,
Being
whether you
out,
call it
so right wing, right?
right wing,
So
right
we need
back,
a
wing
right
back, whatever.
winger. We need a right winger that is dangerous in the top, and he can
CDM.
perform solid defensive role. So like a legit right winger. And now we come and wake up to the rumors that we're getting this Finnish guy that it says he's an attacking mid, that it says he's a right winger, it says that whatever, attacking, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you look on the stats and he has provided 0 goals, 0 assists in the entire year. He's a injury prone player, is doesn't have many goals in his last season either. So is that what we need to bring? No. But why are we bringing him? Because his contract is expiring and he's gonna be very cheap.
I think my biggest concern for me is the injury prone player. Um, in today's soccer days, what you know, one injury, you're like, okay, it's normal. You're a player. 2, 3, 4. That's where your body hits a plateau from there. That then now you get injured all the time. It's part of the game. So I don't know if it's unfortunately everybody's starting to show like it's a real thing that's happening. Um, the way I sit, I think if you hear some of my conversation is I rather see my team looks like the United Nation. And the reason why I'm saying that is that when you bring, a mixture of like multiple culture into a team, it kind of forces the whole team to kind of adapt, and they can actually bring a little bit more of experience across. And that's why I think Sergio's style of play is highlighted so much more compared to everyone else in the team because he has his specialty that he's the dribbler 1v1 player. But it's kind of scary when we're saying that no one else in the team is capable of doing that.
Oh, we're too
You
busy
need
shopping at the. Go ahead.
Yeah, you need 3 or 4 players to be able to do that during a game. So 11 of them, on the opposite side, you can divide up those 10 players. But if you have just one, you get double teamed, and then that's it.
We're too busy shopping at the Bundesliga discount rack. That's what we're doing right now. But I guess the question I have is, if we're fully healthy, and we can play guys in preferred positions, do we have the guys? Because we've got Hartle, we've got Toyshirt, some technical guys that can move the ball. We've got Celio who can take guys one-on-one. Is there enough in this squad? Or not? That's the thing. I don't know if we've been healthy enough long enough to see it. Lutz said Lutz was on KMOX on Sunday. Lutz said that it takes 10 games roughly for a new manager to get his team together to play the way he wants. How do you guys feel about that? You guys have a world perspective on football that I don't. Do you agree with that idea that it takes 10 games? Is it too early to be expecting, more from this team given the injuries? Where do you think?
I think they have the identity already. So I don't think the problem of not connecting on what the ideas of the coach are, because I mean, by game three, we knew that our defensive were gonna be strong. We were gonna create a solid block of defensive work. Um, so I think there is an identity already, and it has been shown the frustration on the forwards too, because that identity took their freedom. It took their great positioning to score goals, and you've seen it. Like
Mhm.
Toicher has mentioned it that if they score one goal, they stay back. You can see it on their body languages when if they get scored on is a big hit because they know we're not built to go and score goal after goal after goal. So I think the identity is already there. I don't think we're waiting to 10 games or whatever, and we're almost there anyways. And um, if we were healthy or not, that's an if game. That at this point, like it doesn't really matter. Every year we come to the same situation that we have five, six, seven players injured. That is the I really would like to see an statistic of the past 3 years with all the teams in the MLS and how many teams have had that many injuries as City has had, because it's concerning. I mentioned it before, um, but we do have some players. I think we still, and um, I, I sound redundant when I say since the beginning of the season, I say we did not had enough depth and we did not had enough quality to bring in moments like this. Like someone gets hurt, there's no one else to step up. Um, I had big hopes for Rasmus Alm, for example. I was like, last year he had a rough year and he was working to get healthy, and I was expecting preseason to be the setup for having a good season. And we haven't even seen a minute of him because he got hurt on preseason games. So I had a big hope for him. Now I don't think it's gonna be the same, even if it comes back. I mean, he still has like 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks of work, I
Mhm.
believe. And then it's just not enough. There's not enough. A type like Rasmus Sam, I would say like, okay, we have that player sitting back ready to go. Yeah, maybe we got Totland, and then he recovers, and we can switch him back and forth because those two are very similar on the work rate that they put in. But but it's just not happening. The moment they go
Mhm.
in, they go back out.
Right.
And now, like, unfortunate situation with Leuven, we just have to have a mentality of he won't be this season here. Like,
Mhm.
let's just think like
Well,
he won't be here. It's very indefinite what is happening with him. I don't want to get into it. I obviously, with respect, is the person matters more. Your family matters more. Anything that is happening, we don't know. That's privacy for him and his family. So let's just think that we do not have that player. So what we're gonna do to solve that we do not have that player, that we base our
mhm.
possession game as much on him. So are we gonna get this guy that nobody knows and is a, like you say, like wholesale Bundesliga two type
Yeah.
player? So no, let's look into other markets. Like, to be honest, when I saw the thing today, I got so heat up that I went on Transfermarkt and I started looking in South America market, and I found at least seven different players from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, that they are on our budget range. Let's say it. Let's say a 4.5 million, a 3.7, a the higher that I look, it was like a 7 million. That, wow, if we get a 7 million player, like we we're throwing the house out of the window apparently with a 7 million. But there's so many prospects, young players. Just I wasn't looking for a 34-year-old um try to retire player. I was looking into young players that they're coming up in the South American environment, and in that list of players, there's some that they're already higher of the ones that they already play in the MLS, like type
Yes.
of Espinoza, type of the guy from New England, um, Ringoni, I believe is his last
Oh,
name. Um, so those type of players that they're value high, that they might not be performing amazing, or I mean, Espinoza is the head of San Jose right now, with the other two guys. So if they're in that list, why don't we look into it? I found it. I don't care. I don't get paid thousands of dollars to go and scout people, and I found that.
Yeah. I'm wondering if I think for me, one thing for the dev part is that we have a certain team that's has a two after their name that's doing pretty well. Um, and I think there's a few people, and I think even on the broadcast they mentioned it that we've not had any players under the age of 24 playing in the team, or that has had significantly no times in there, except my guy that was coming in. Um, I'm starting to think that maybe this will be the almost like the perfect time to kind of add a little bit of that dynamic of the kids that like I think in France we call it like sweat for the badge, right? So
hmm
like a Makai, maybe give him a little bit more time to show what he has. Because there's other teams that are showing LA Galaxy and all that. They have their 17-year-old playing, getting some
hmm
time. The only way that they can kind of perform or contribute to the team is that it's not just practice, it's also during game time. Especially when we have some of these guys that are injured. I think Matsuri is close enough to what Kijima was, where like explosive kids that will run
hmm
his tail off for 90 minutes. I would have, I was wanted him to play yesterday. We called him up. We already used some of that. Why not have him at least have that 10, 15 minutes as well? Even if we're chasing the game, maybe that would have maybe changed a little bit of the dynamic of it and kind of let the starters know, like, hey, no, you are in the first team. You are typically the starter. But guess what? We just called out a whole bunch of the CD2 kids, and we also have academy kids that are pushing to be on CD2, and there's CD2 kids that are trying to get on the first team. Maybe you should go and spend some time with the CD2 guys, like we used to do, like we did in the first season or second, right? You're not getting enough playing time, or you're not doing the high press as we would like to. Maybe go to CD2 and see how it's done, right? Because all of our teams from the academy to CD2 are using the high press, right?
Hmm.
So they're all doing the same system. Maybe get familiar with that system and then move to the first team. I don't think I've seen any of them do that at this moment, right?
So, so a couple things. So, Olaf came in as a coach that had been really just he's been coaching first teams at like Brahma Karna and other leagues, but he played a lot of youth guys. And I think it was in the pregame presser before this game against Columbus where he was talking about how he was used to having young guys who just could run and run and run and run and run and run and run. And he doesn't have that now because a lot of our guys are older. And so I don't know if he's still adjusting to this roster composition either. And some of the roster mechanisms that I'm not trying to make excuses for him either,
Right.
but the roster is what it is.
Yeah.
But I just wonder a little bit if he's still trying to learn how to navigate that. But we just switched to the U22 model. We have a midfielder that we paid at least a little bit of money for from the A League in Australia and Gerwood Reich. When do we see him? I mean, I know he was out
Yeah,
for a
where
while
is he?
recovering from knee surgery, but when do we see him? When does he get to play?
Yeah, I mean they keep dressing him up and then never having minutes. So that's
Well,
very.
go ahead.
Uh, um,
Mm,
just saying, like they dress him up the same thing. Like I mean, with McSorley, like Colin McSorley, um, I call him a waste because why to use a one of the loan options to just have him to sit down. Same thing happened the game before with Jaskalainen. So just bringing him in to just take a tour and have the experience of being in the locker room with the professionals. I mean, I don't understand because I mean the city too. Basically, they're professionals already. They have the same environment. They go through the same preparations and anything. Um, with Max Orley, it was unfortunate. I think first, yes, they call Max Orley to maybe what Mo's saying, like give him a push to the starters. So like, hey, watch out, this guy. We have this guy here, and maybe that's why Klaus had such a good game. I don't know. Um,
mm.
but unfortunately for Max Orley, Klaus had a really good game. So it was impossible to say, hey, Klaus, get out. Max Orley comes in because Max Orley is very nine forward minded, like a center forward minded, and he likes to press and he likes to run, but um, it's a very center forward minded. So it was unfortunate for him in that, and Um, with Joyner, I mean, we discussed it. He should have been in the game earlier. We don't need to wait at the last 10 minutes of the game or 5 minutes of the game to bring reinforcements when especially when we're losing the game. So I'm a type mentality that if I was a coach, I would have put every single thing in the grill, like how we said in Spanish, just like you put all your meats in the grill, you go and you try to win that game. So in that end, like management of Olaf is very poor, and he also comes in. Let's bring another hot topic. Is like he keeps all lying on our faces, saying these things on his press conferences, and think that everything's okay. Like Jeremy, your questions that he kept avoiding really the real reason or the real answer. He just keep going around it. Um, but it just what you just mentioned. He was known to have younger kids that they could run and run and run. Hey, you have a full team of them because you have a city 2 players that are full of players that they're ready to bust their butt off to win a spot. So they will not stop running. You want to do that? Then say something, do something. Not just say, and then act differently when you put your lineups.
Yeah, and good point. And I don't think that there's still that fully, the whole entire club from academy all the way to the first team. That core is, what defines city in general. Like we could have said the first and second year, if you face City, it's a high press, no matter if you play the U16 all the way to the pros. But now it looks like it maybe stops at the first team. Um, so if you guys had the chance to be the GM within St. Louis internally, right? Not going to the transfer market, um, how would you go around navigating that? It's like more kids and then you have them play significant time, or do you have some of the guys that are kind of new kind of drop to CD2 to get a feel of how it's like there? Because we cannot add more players. This is not Europe where your entire first team can be 26 players from the
Mhm.
academy that is part of your first team, and you can call them whenever you like. You still have this crazy MLS rules. Would you call
I,
them play or
I,
continue?
so I think it's hard. I think right now, I think the hard part now is not only your health, but you've got to build continuity with your starters. So I don't think I do that now. Now, if we're, God forbid, in the wooden spoon race, 10 weeks from now, and we're just done cooked, then yeah, what have you got to lose? Bring the kids up, let them play. But right now, I think Olaf still has to build continuity. He's got to get his main core group back to having some kind of cohesion and find the right recipe for success with him. But that said, if we don't see some youth involvement in the Open Cup matches coming up, I'll be singing a different tune.
Yeah, I agree. So we're a team that is still building. So let's just not jump the start and say like, oh, we're supposed to be playing amazing, or like we're still building. It's a new coach, it's a new system. But what I don't like of the management perspective is that he changes so much. He changes the pieces. He changes the way he wants to use the pieces. Since Colorado game, when it was the best defensive performance statistically, he never used that again. He went to the next game and he changed something, and then the next game he changed something else, and the following something else, in something else. We got to the point like we're just players all over the place. They have been playing in all, like example of Wallem. Like Wallem has not found his spot yet because he just likes to put him everywhere. How do you feel? How do you build a team that is gonna be cohesive and knowing, confident that the way that you're gonna pass the ball, or you know that my teammate on the right is gonna make this type of run because I know him and I know that he likes to do, and I'm gonna do that by memory. You can't do it because every time you look to the right, it's a different person, and then you look to the left, there's a different person. So, so it's those things that you as a player, you always want a similar star 11 because you want the same players that you know you can play and how you play with them, and we're not doing that. So he's just saying yes, we'll build it, and yeah, we did a better job, and yeah, we had a lot of chances but we missed it, we should have won the game, and we're not. We were not the best team. We have not been the best team in any of the fields that we have played.
So do you think?
Let's build our group.
So I think there was time where they were saying Cardinal was still too stuck in his ways, and I think so. Are you referring more of like the tactic? Everyone is okay with the tactic changes, but the player should remain the same for most of the game. But I'm wondering, is the injuries not factoring into that piece of having to find creative ways to have players in certain position because our our list looks like ERFC pretty much.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, some of them are, but at the same time, like if it goes to the point I mentioned earlier where when you have a substitution and you have a natural center back in your bench and you don't put him and you decide to move three pieces in your field to put another guy, that's not helping you. And you've done it for the second game in a row. Something was working with Wallem on the right. Why do you have to move in to the left and move Hebert and then get the other piece out and then put Watson? No, so be consistent with the team that you work with. And I think I got deviated a little bit, but I got back on what I wanted to say. It's just yes, you do want to involve the younger ones, but at this point you want to focus more on your main squad and giving them the confidence of playing together
Right.
with the pressure of there's guys that are hungry, right? It doesn't mean, yes, that we're gonna give them minutes to the younger ones. If the things go well in the field, then yes, sorry, younger ones, you're not having minutes
which is good.
because things are going well. They're working. We're having guys working together, understanding each other, finding the spots where they need to be finding. But if that doesn't happen, then bring them in. Obviously, like,
Yep.
don't sit on your ass and say, "Hey, we have three players here that they could change the game, but because they're younger, we're not gonna put them in."
Nope.
Yeah, I
Because
hope we see a
I
lot.
mean that happened with Jessica
No.
Linen against Kansas City. He sat the entire game, but he could have just changed something.
Yep. And he talks about being brave a lot and needing us to be brave. Well, let's get the team set, and then he can be brave enough to play the youngsters, right? That's the way I look at it.
Yes.
Leading into the game, and I know we're city guys, but there's a quote from Wilfred Nancy before the game that just I want to reference real quick. He said the connection between players is more, or one, two, three, or four players is more powerful than one. What I try to teach my players is relationships, how I can understand them, and then how we can run offensively and defensively. If we're able to do that, we can be dangerous. If not, we're going to be average. And that's, I hope in some shape, way, or form that kind of message can get to our guys, because we have the capability. And how dangerous were we against Columbus, the top team in the Eastern Conference, right? I feel like we can do that, and that quote just really speaks to me, and really is what I would really hope to see the mentality of City to feel that way. If we can learn to be cohesive, be dangerous, and be better than average.
That translates to last year. Like the end of last year, we were that team where our front guys were very connected.
Okay.
Teutsch, Hartel, Lewin, Klauss, they knew where were they moving. They were knew where were they passing, and we were creating chances. And there was freedom. I think at this point in and that's one of all of I would say weakness is that he wants to have his perfect system that they're set and stone on their positions, that they have to cover the run, they have to do this and that, and doesn't give the freedom to um, that creative mind connecting together, because both of the goals this weekend become from parts where players are doing things that they are not used to. Celio didn't track a runner. The second goal, Teutsch was out of position, but why was out of position? Because he recognized that what's out of position, he went to cover that position. If it was that type of freedom on your attacking players, for example, Teutsch doesn't make that move, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he doesn't make that move. Watts recognizes that, oh, I need to get my ball back. I need to get it back where I need when I'm supposed to be. But because that system is so rigid, they don't want anybody getting out of that block. That's what I think.
I think you probably nailed it on that part. Um, and I think that's like the style of play that you were seeing Columbus have. If you look at them, it's I think I heard someone that's it's like halfway tiki taka, right? So the the original Spain tiki taka is like what almost 30 passes before you can shoot on goal. But if you watch Columbus, it's like maybe 4 or 5 coming from two players, right? So it's tap, you pass me the ball, either I move forward or I track back, and I pass it, and then there's another ball going forward. And I think that's where maybe some of our players were kind of missing some of the transitions, is because the ball was moving a lot faster than what they expected. And when you're on a low block, right? If the ball is going 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, your defender is about to miss the final pass or the pass before that. And I think that's how we were finding our defenders flat footed, and that's how Rossi scored. right? Because Bamargal had to stand on his line and wait for the Rossi to come towards him, and what he did, just curved the ball around him and scored. So I think it's a lot more freedom. I think ours is we have a defender as our coach, right? So his defensive mindset will probably be
Hmm.
more seen during a game. But if you watch Duncy, it's like that's the Paris kid, right? So that means playing with the ball, a little bit more freedom, pass it, 1-2, 1-2 is what he grew up on. Geez, he played
And
with Thierry
explode.
Henry for God's sake. Like,
And his ways. So if if you really think so, when Columbus wanted to be dangerous, they were dangerous.
absolutely.
They put us sideways. They expanded the field. They basically, that freedom creates the spaces, because there's not a set in stone pieces that they get marked. They all move. They move out of their positions. Someone else fills the gap. It's difficult to track those runs because you're paying attention to my guy, that is this supposed to be my guy, and he goes away, and you're like, where is he going? And then someone's coming behind you, like, oh, now this is the new number 9, or this is the new right wing. And every time, like, they do that, first of all, they snooze you, because the first goal, what they did is they did like 5 to 8 passes on the left wing, short, like you were saying, like back and forth between 2 3 guys, right? Just not moving anywhere, just kind of like testing the
Yeah,
field.
and then
And when
sideways.
they one crazy person decided to run, find the space, play the ball through, you gotta go from not moving, just keeping your balance, to, oh crap, I gotta go track, right? And then you're on your heels, you're sideways, and then we got the weak side runner that knows that that ball is gonna be crossed. I gotta get there. I have the freedom. I'm a center back, but I have the freedom to get up there and score a goal.
And it's all happens during practice because that's Rondo pretty much at practice, right?
Yep.
You put a small square where you have your 4 player and you have one person in the middle. That's pretty much all they're doing, right? All moving in that small square. And then before you know it, it's like, oh, now you have a runner behind you. And the beauty of that is that, when you're aware of all of the players and the tendencies of your teammates do not have to tell you that he's going to make a run on your right. You know that if you give him 15 seconds, he will make that run, and then you just pass it out, and there you want it. So I think that's maybe that piece that's we're still working on. Brand new coach. We still have to be fair to City that you know he's had this team for quite a while now. He won a championship with them. Um, some of
Right.
the players were in the crew too that won the MLS Next Pro against us. So those players have been in that system for quite a long time. So they more in depth to what they're supposed to be doing. Um, so that's the part I try to be maybe a little bit fair to see where it's like, yes, Columbus is like they may have lost a player, but the core is still there, and they all have the same play. That's why they're undefeated, even though we
Well, yeah, they're keeping a process, and that's a great way to put it, Mo. That they're keeping that process that started with the MLS Next Pro team or players. They're having a system that is uh complements and evolves through the years, and that's what City was supposed to be doing, right? Because our
Yep.
5 year plan was started with MLS Next
so
Pro for the first 2 years, and then we're in year 5. We're supposed to evolve with that system, but the issue is that from the team that we built on year 1, we have changed so much. We have got rid of players that we thought we didn't need, And at the end of the day, you go back and think, yes, they were they were here because of that type of system, that type of mentality.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, people have mentioned numerous times this week that Indy, for example, would be a perfect fit for this team right now. It's something that is missing. That is at that
Mhm.
workhorse, um, pacey, spicy, choppy sometimes that we don't have. Um, and I mean, let's not mention that. Obviously, not my favorites, but like the type of Az, the type of Sam Adarin, the type of Jared Stroud, they were quick. See, so like they were all like quick
Mhm.
pieces, quick explosive players, and we have gone away from that to build something different now. So it seems like we're project number two now. We're done with the 5 year plan, project number one. We just started something new, and obviously, Columbus team that is doing the opposite. They're a good team. They're on top of the
Mhm.
league. They're competitive, and we went back to square one.
But we have to say that they did not come to St. Louis and walk through us like
No.
they've done other teams. So I think even though that they've won the game, but it was not one that they cruise into. So I think there was a lot of high and lows. Even though it was mostly lows for us because we're still on that losing streak. Um, so try to getting away from this game. So we'll have that goldfish brain where we don't know what just happened yesterday. But then after that, my apologies, but it does not get any better because now we're going to go and face Vancouver, which, let's be honest, no one ever would have thought that a team that is for sale will start whooping everybody and then go and whoop Austin, the team that came to our house and left with 3 points. And that was their second best team, defensive team, just allow 5 goals. And Brian White just being a beast. How do you guys feel about
It's
that
a good sales
game?
pitch. That team is a
Oh,
perfect sales pitch.
shoot. Yeah, that's even for
Who
the
doesn't want
players.
to
If
buy that team right now?
yeah, or the players that says, "Hey, I'm I'm ready to move if somebody purchase me." I mean,
Yeah,
I think they will. Whoever buys them, they will have to sign Brian White and probably give him an extension, or else
yeah.
someone will pick him up.
Go
So
ahead,
what do you
Jeremy.
guys? So how you guys
Yeah.
feel about
No.
Vancouver?
I mean, they are even after Gold went down, they've not missed a beat. They've scored 9 goals in their last 5. They've won 3 of their last 5 with a weird loss to Chicago mixed in there and a draw to Toronto of all teams. But I mean, they've, like I said, they're tough. They've only allowed, I think, 4 goals in their last 5. So it's a tough one for us. Yes, we're at home, but I again, yes, we got a goal. We finally scored a goal, but I'm just not optimistic. And if they can put 5 on Austin, it makes me worried. I don't think we're going to embarrass ourselves at home, but I still think we're going to fall. And I'll be nice and say it's going to be 1-0 Vancouver, but I just don't think we get anything out of this one.
Oscar.
Um, I mean, I was a little pessimist last week, so I'm gonna try to bring it a little bit up. Just because of we did not get destroyed by Columbus. I think we could have get destroyed by Columbus if they wanted to. I think they missed a few chances. We did miss a few chances, but at the same time, it could have been ugly if they were very sharp on their end. I think it was It was not a 2-1 game. I think it was a little bit different, a little higher score that it should have been. So with this week, even me trying to be positive, I'm still know that Vancouver has our name, a number.
Oh, by a lot.
So that is not something to just forget about, Mo. It's not forgettable.
Mm-mm.
If we look at our history, we have won one game and we lost three.
We lost the
The
last
only
three, right?
one we lost the last three. The only one we won was the first game on 2023 that it was still on May, so we was still when we were on our horse in our first season. We're doing everything great. We won 3-1, but since then Vancouver has put 11 goals on us in 3 games. It was a 3-0, a 4-3, and a 4-1 last time they visit City Park. So it's, well, maybe it was not in City Park, but when it anyways. Um, I think we can manage the game the way that we manage Columbus and not be that team that is gonna allow a lot of goals. But at the same time, if we're gonna invite Vancouver to attack us, they're gonna score.
From what it seemed, yes.
I mean, they're gonna find a way to score because even I was watching the game Vancouver against Pumas for the CONCACAF,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a really good game, keeping it 1-1, and then they made a mistake. They let Pumas score, and I was like, "Oh, that just went south." And Pumas went back and say, "I'm gonna let them have the ball for the last 2 minutes of the game," and that was a huge mistake.
You got punished. Ooh, all
They
right.
got punished. So
Mm-hmm.
if we are gonna really give the ball to Vancouver and say, "Hey, come attack us," it's gonna be the same thing, and I think they're sharper than Columbus. I think the three guys that they're scoring goals in Vancouver are really on, and I would like to hate to use our chant. We tried to chant and we tried to get, but I think those guys are on fire right now.
Yeah.
They are on a roll. So if you're gonna let them have it, it might get ugly.
Yes, I
But
think we gotta give them their
if
but
you ask
yes.
me for a scoreline, let's hope. If I'm positive and I want to, I mean, I'm tired of losing games at home. So I want to say, let's win. Let's win the game 1-0. That's what I want. I think the realistic, it might be a 2-1 again, losing.
Mm-hmm.
So 1-0 or 2-1. All right. I don't know.
But you got Mo.
So which one do you want? The optimistic one or
I mean, I want to say that
my
I want to be optimistic,
on my
but
worldview? Because it's promising what City have shown us against Columbus, right? So
some.
if I see the same formation, I'm gonna say 2-1 City. But if they've learned their lessons, I'll probably say it will be as a draw 0-0. I think that's what I'm leaning
I
towards.
don't think we can keep him on a 0.
Because I've what? No, because just seeing how they kept Columbus from scoring, because it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been, probably should have been. I mean, Vancouver's been shut out once, and it was against Toronto.
Toronto,
maybe
guys, Toronto.
Toronto.
So
Yeah,
I'm thinking maybe if they play up to the level of their opponents, you know. But
all
hey,
right.
I don't remember a team uh, in MLS or abroad that score 5 goals in one game and then turn around and score the same amount or close to it. Sometimes they waste their goals for the previous games. So based on history, I don't remember a team that says, "Hey, we just won 5-1 or 5-0 on Sunday," and they would turn it again and do the exact same thing with the opponent. And I'm talking across the world of games I've watched. So maybe the superstitious one, I don't think they can be that much on fire and do it again.
I mean, I don't say they're gonna put 5 on us, but I think the way that they have been playing and the way that they find their goals, I don't think we could shut them down.
Hey, you have it recorded. There's my score.
There you
So,
go.
Jerry, I think we have to put out player availability 24 hours before, I think is what it is. Like normally, something like that. The player availability for a Saturday game comes out sometime Friday morning. So maybe a little more than that, but that's when I expect we'll hear. We'll probably hear something from Olaf. I think there's training tomorrow
Yes.
or Thursday. But
Oh, I need to look at
yeah,
the schedule.
but we'll see. Yeah, it should be tomorrow. I think it's a Tuesday, Thursday week. I might be wrong, but in any event, yeah. But I guess the question is if Berkey's back, is this a game Berkey can steal for you though? You know what I mean. If he's back and is just doing Berkey things, is that something that could happen here?
Hey, he was flipping his girlfriend, like she said. I saw the Instagram post on Instagram where I guess there was 2 kids and his girlfriend, and
Okay.
while she was filming, he actually flipped her around. I was like, does that tell
Okay.
us that you are feeling better and you're not afraid of breaking something again? Because and then posted it online. That you usually
He's
you do
he's
not want
still
the
in it.
physio to see that.
Yeah, he's still in it.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I think it will be on. I wouldn't mind if I see Ben get it again, but also
Mhm.
I want to start seeing that injury list get smaller because right
So
now
yeah.
I
Go ahead.
think it can be different if we get one of these pieces, and Reed is one of those players that I want to see play.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, and
I think I would not put Berkey on this one, to be honest. I would not throw him in the fire straight up. It's a difficult game. It's if you put Berkey and he gets, for whatever reason, he gets 3, 4 in, it's not gonna
mm,
be good,
You know
right?
what? I don't know. Maybe this will be the one time where he will burst in that locker room and look at everybody and just blast them because I think he's one of the few players that like like Jerry said, right? We won't see that from Ben, but Berkey, if something bad happens or play is bad, he will gate on you. And unfortunately, we don't see that on the field at this moment. I've not seen anyone scream at each
Oh
other
no,
or raise their
we
hands or go like
yep.
this. At this moment, you have
we
not
see
seen that fire. And
we see the opposite. We
yes,
see resignation. We see frustration.
yes. And
Um,
Berkey has that.
Mhm.
yeah,
And you can even hear it when the hurdle, right, that they show us when he's talking, you can tell the tone. That's why Parker was so well at that too, right?
Yep.
The motivation that knows that, especially your center back and your goalkeeper, if you F up, they will call you out.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And I think maybe that's what we're missing as well, because that blue collar angry player is not there. And yes,
Yeah.
Stroud, I miss him big time because
We
he
haven't
was
we
the
haven't. Go ahead.
I don't give a bleep bleep player that
Mm-hmm.
I miss.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen that from Hartle. I mean, he's had the armband for a while. I mean, have we seen him mad? Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to be necessarily overly critical, but we're comparing Berkey's, fiery leadership and from yelling across the back line to what we saw Parker do. And granted, I'm really struggling to think I've seen even Edu mad when Edu used to have the armband. So maybe that's something we need.
Yeah. So if you look at the replay of the second goal from Columbus and the reactions of the players, it tells the story of what this team is and it's like, you get score on, we're screwed, and they all know it, and they all go.
Yep.
There's Hartel, there's emotion of Hartel, like they score, he goes, it's your captain. You gotta win a game. It's the moment of like, you go, let's go, guys, let's go, come on, let's go, bring it back, like reel them all up. But we don't see anybody of that. Like the only one I saw kind of gesturing a little bit of that was Celio, and it wasn't enough either. Like it was just like kind of like, come on, and done. Yeah. You need that guy. Like I remember Parker committing mistakes or something. Someone committed a mistake, they score a goal, and Parker was like going, come on, like just get it together. Like going like out of his freaking head and getting everybody pumped up again to like, okay, let's get it back.
Before I forget, I do want to mention one thing from the Columbus game. At the end of the game, the only player to come over near the supporter section, he actually came to that advertising board, was Celio. And he was literally going, I'm sorry. Like literally, that's what he mouthed to us. He was the only one to do it. The other players did their little clap, walk around maybe by the 18-yard box, but Celio literally came all the way over. And I mean, that's just, I have mad respect for that because he knows.
Oh, yeah, he's been around.
Mo, so that comment of Romo, no chemistry, no team, there's no connection. There's I didn't stay for the lap because first of all they take 15 minutes to get to our end. But I did not stay. I packed my flag, I put it away, and I went to the Concourse and keep playing our drums and chanting keeping up our party how we normally do it. But at this time I did not stay down there. I was not gonna face them. I was not gonna show them that they deserve any of my time for that, especially like I said, they take 15 minutes to get to our end. But I did see pictures, and it's a little embarrassing that this team is not connected, because yes, you lost a 4 game in a row. You should be together, coming around and respecting the fans, and we don't see any of that. And I don't say it because of us. I say it because of them, because they need to stay together strong. They need to stay walking together, showing that they're gonna turn this around and not that they're pieces. There's a picture on the social media that you can see one of our players, like they're saying they're clapping or whatever, and really far in the background is Celio, but Celio is like past the half of the field. That never happens with Carnell. That never happened with Hartwork. They were all forced to walk together. You lost, you won, you tie. You were forced to work together all the way in. This team doesn't do that. Kansas City, they all went away. This game, according to the pictures, because I did not stay, so I'm just going by the pictures that I've seen on social media. They did not come together. They only 2 or 3 they came around and kind of saying things, and then obviously Celio was the one behind that. It was I'm assuming the last one to come around and do that.
But Ben was by himself. Lunt was all by himself well before everybody else. Everybody else was at the far end of the pitch doing whatever on the south end. and then they kind of made their way slowly around, didn't come near the boards. Celio came out, but you know who also wasn't with them, and you never would have seen it whether it was Carnell or Hack. There was no Melberg. I don't know what I mean. I don't understand that. Like he wants the fans to rally behind him. Come and at least acknowledge the folks that are there making the noise, the folks that are bringing the passion and the energy, whether you're down or you're up. What rain, snow, cold? Come on, my I don't
We're
get.
there. Rain, snow, storm,
Yeah,
thunderstorm, tornadoes. Yeah, and
Right.
I guess I was not there, so I kind of missed that part. So
yeah.
yeah, oh, and I can definitely remember those times, and you could definitely see it. Carnell, sometime when those players were walking, he will call them up, or if he saw someone with, like, I guess their flag or something, you could
Mm-hmm.
actually see him point at a player to go to those people and like take pictures, and then after
Yeah.
that, you could see him run when they were going to the supporter section. You could tell that that was that one rule that after the game everybody's doing that walk. If you taking a picture, it's take that picture and then run back to the end. So guess that's definitely one thing to take a
Yeah.
look at. And it win or lose, I think you guys should get your props, especially on that section of the world, because this is what you hear on TV. Because I was watching it yesterday, and 99% of the time it's the North End that's making the noise, and everybody praise it too. It's
Yeah.
St. Louis, so
Um, I hope. I mean, they see it. I hope players see it. I hope the front office sees it, because yesterday was the first time I've seen the supporter section that empty when
Mm-hmm.
the players were walking, because
oh,
there were legit nobody there. There was a few,
Mm-hmm.
let's say 50 people, no more than 50 people stay in the stands um to receive them, or whatever we can call that, because I mean
that's the
everybody's fed
message.
up, everybody's tired of it, and that's depressing for them. I think they should take a note of that. um we're with them. We did it for 90 minutes, even when they were losing, even when they give up a lead. We were with them. We would cheer. We even say that we love them. We even chant the chants that at that point, like, I don't think they're according to what we feel, but we still did it. I mean, the chant that we love you and we support you and we follow you everywhere. Um, we're showing you that, and but the whistle blew and everybody was out.
That's unfortunate, but I guess we have to bring something exciting right before we close out, because I don't like to close things on a
Oh,
somber note. But I guess to close everything out is that um, I think Jeremy just signed on the dotted lines that he will be joining Top Corner Talk officially. So right,
yep.
so
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
yes, so we are making quick changes.
Jeremy, Jeremy, Jeremy.
Never
Hey,
again will that
you
ever be
got the
chanted
couple
anywhere
right
in my
there
life.
that has the song for you, Jeremy. So that you
Yeah,
know,
you guys are
hey,
killing me.
our team is not making changes, but we are, right? So
Yep.
hopefully, and we want to wish also Charlie a speedy recovery, because he is sick at this moment, and I'm sure he's also sick of watching and not being able to join us as well. So you know, that's the fun of all of that, right?
Yeah. And I mean, for everybody it's still active in the chat, thanks for staying here for 2 hours with us, and sharing your thoughts, provided information that we may not see. I would like to open an invitation. If any of you guys that are here every night, you guys want to show your face and talk to us a little bit, even if it's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes, it just, if you want to do it for the full show. um we're not whatsoever, we're not professionals at this opinions. This is only a fun opinion. This is different views that we get. So if you guys want to show us, just let us know. Send us a message either on Blue Sky or Instagram or even here in
Anyway,
YouTube, and we'll find the way to share the link for you guys and come and join us.
absolutely. It told a few people. No, if you're, we don't bite. Don't shy away. Just come, let us know, and we'll give you your. Just let it out. And I think sometimes it's
Yep.
easier to just speak it than typing it. So,
100%.
so, so yeah. So with that
I,
say, so Jeremy,
I think we put
welcome.
Jerry to sleep.
Wow.
She put Jerry put emoji of snoozing.
Wow. You
Like,
know
Oh
what?
sorry.
no.
Your invitation has been declined. You will no longer, Jerry. Everybody else is invited except you.
Hey, be
Yes.
good, do good, Jerry.
And
Oh
yes,
no.
and just like Robo said, right? Make sure you hit thumbs up, like, share, and let everyone else that these crazy guys are talking soccer. We're not pros, no, nothing crazy, just all our own opinion. And sometimes there will be a hot take or two, and that's what it is to be a soccer fan. So with that said, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us in our social platform. We'll make it official for Jeremy. Thanks for joining. He's wearing the best kit in the entire world since soccer was ever created. That's my plug. All right. Thank you all,
All
everybody,
right.
and hope you have a good
Thanks,
night.
everybody.
All right.